following Chalk Talk is brought to you by Isolite, the emergency lighting experts. Stay educated, my friends.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. I'm Evan Ackman, our Director of Product Development. Today we're talking about custom wording and custom graphics sign. It's worth discussing why we're doing this. I recognize that this may not be the most exciting topic that we've done on the Chalk Talk. I promise I'll make that up to you next month. It's going to be a good one. But when we were looking at this, we usually plan these things about 6 weeks out. I went through my emails just to see what was going on and if there was anything pressing that we might want to address. And there were probably 10 or 15 emails from the last week or two that indicated people had some confusion, or there was a little bit too much back and forth about capabilities, which resulted in frustration. And all that was surrounding our custom wording and custom graphics signs. So it felt like a good opportunity to spend 15 minutes to give you guys some background on really what these things are, why they're used, when they're used in life safety use cases versus when they're used for decorative cases. I want to talk about what our capabilities are for custom signage. We'll start that discussion with an understanding of what we mean when we say custom wording versus custom graphics. There is a little bit of a distinction there that we're making. It is minor, but it's worth talking about. I also wanted to talk about the construction of the signs. There's a slight difference in the feature set associated with Edge Lit and non-Edge Lit signs that's worth understanding so that you understand what the capabilities are. We'll end our session today with the how to order and nomenclature information. I want to draw a distinction between what I'll call a confusingly named standard custom sign and a custom sign. I think that distinction will make a lot more sense when you see it on screen. I also want to touch on nomenclature and some consistency that we're trying to imbue upon our spec sheets to make this easier for everybody. And then we'll end with the sales tools. Jumping right in. There are life safety use cases for custom signs. There are some places where the word exit just isn't sufficient. That can be for a number of reasons that are external to the facility. Maybe there's a high percentage of non-English speakers in the area that will be utilizing the space. Potentially there may be mental disabilities, things that would require maybe non-verbal or non-written exit signs. So there are places where there are life safety use cases that have code implications for custom graphics and custom wording signs. It is worth noting that generally the authority in the area will have some guidance that they can offer on what will be okay. You probably don't just want to make this up and say, oh, I think this is a Hispanic area, we're going to use Solita everywhere. The AHJ will have some guidance that they can offer so that you're doing the right thing. As you'd expect, NFPA 101, the life safety code, does have something to say about this. As you'd probably also expect, it is confusing, just so that they can sell more versions of the code in the future. But here's exactly what it says. Signs shall read as follows in plainly legible letters. That's referencing the EXIT you see in the middle of your slide there. It goes on to say, though, or other appropriate wording shall be used. I think that's tremendously confusing or nondescript. Basically, it says it should say exit, or it can say whatever you want. That's the allowance for things like Solita and non-English verbiage, other appropriate wording. The other thing that's worth noting here is where approved by the AHJ, pictograms in compliance with NFPA 170 shall be permitted. That's the running man that you see over there on the right. And you'll actually start to see this in more and more places. Obviously, this is historically a very European iconographic. It's now the standard in Canada as well. You're also going to start seeing that show up here in a lot more places. I actually go to a Mexican restaurant in the area that has running man exit signs. So it is becoming more and more common. The other use case for these custom graphics or custom wording signs is decorative or informational. Sometimes it's important to have just everything that's on the ceiling match. Sometimes weird things end up in scope of CSI Division 26. And that's where custom graphics signs really shine. As I mentioned, they are informational. They don't have NFPA 101 ramifications. They only have UL ramifications in that they have to be safe to wire. But the traditional use cases for things like this would be X-ray in use, area of refuge, the area of rescue assistance sign you see on the right side of your screen right now, wheelchair access, social distancing, things like that. Things that aren't necessarily how do you get to an egress point in a building, but are relevant for the occupants inside, and it's important that they match all of the other signage in the space. With that said, I do want to draw a distinction between what we would traditionally call custom wording and custom graphics. Custom graphics means we have a dedicated product for it. So the LPDC, the TLCG2, and the ELTCG, which is a new model number. I'm going to break off the custom graphics functionality from the traditional ELT sign and make a dedicated model number for it, just because it's one of the sources of frustration and confusion in ordering. So you'll see that spec sheet coming out very soon. Custom wording is intended to be more basic. This is the Salida or in use or laser in use, X-ray in use kind of sign. It's really just words. It won't allow for custom illumination colors. Very often it won't have custom background colors. It's still going to be a white with red or white with green. Or what you see over on the right side, all of our self-luminous signs allow for this custom wording. That one has a blue background, but the illumination is still going to be that pale phosphor green. So it's less, there's a little bit less flexibility associated with custom wording than custom graphics. Custom graphics, there's a lot more opportunity for you guys to do some customization. It's important to understand exactly how we construct these signs, and it is different between edge lit signs and non-edge lit signs. In the edge lit world, which is really our ELT or our ELT custom graphics, you're stuck with the same background colors that you get on the standard sign, white, clear, or mirrored. And then the legend color is going to be the thing that's illuminated. That's going to be white, red, blue, or green. You can think of a traditional exit sign as only having red and green options. When you go to a custom wording sign, you can get white and blue as well. But it's important to note that it's only one color that's going to be illuminated, and it's going to be that white, red, blue, or green. The background will not be illuminated. So on that bottom sign that you see there, the exit with Running Man and the Farsi script on the bottom, the green is what will actually be illuminated. So when there's enough light in the space, you'll see both white and green. When it's in emergency mode and the lights are all off, you're going to see the green backlight there. You'll incidentally see a little bit of the white, but it's not backlit in that instance. We have a little bit more flexibility on more traditional signs, and that comes across mostly in the background color. It can be almost anything, and it's almost anything, and it includes multiple colors. So you can see on the upper right and really on the lower right here, both of these signs have mixed background colors. The top one has a dark blue and light blue background. The bottom one really just has a blue background in a large area that will be lit up. And then the legend color is kind of the same thing, white, red, blue, green. And you can see, like on the bottom right sign, that's either a blue background with white text or a white background with blue text, depending on which would get illuminated. I think that's actually a white text with blue background. So you're going to see when it's on the white area illuminated, which is the background of area of refuge, and then wheelchair man. I mentioned that we have standard custom signs and then custom signs, and I alluded to the fact that there was a little bit of confusing verbiage associated with that. Standard signs really are just ones that we do frequently, and we might have some additional parts sitting around to make them. You can see in the model number callouts, we have the CW0102034626, X-ray in use, area of refuge, laser in use, beam on, and area of rescue assistance. Because we do those in a little bit higher volume, we tend to order the plates in higher volumes. The benefit of these standard custom signs is, one, it's less communication back and forth because you can just order the model number and be good to go. But there may also be some cost and lead time benefits to these standard signs. It's not always the case that we can do it faster and for less money, but if we just got off the back of a fairly large order, we may have some of them sitting around, and there may be a discount and lead time benefit associated with doing it. One other aside, I have no idea what the numbers actually mean. They predate me. I don't know why we skip 5 and 7 through 25. I'm sure there's some very logical reason that somebody at Isolite knows. That person happens to not be me. As you'd probably expect, if we describe standard custom signs, that there is a custom sign. This is my plea to just say, give us a call if you have something. We can get to yes in a lot of different applications. But in order to make that easier for us, the thing that I would ask you for is make sure when you send a request in, you specify what the LED color will be, the area where the LEDs will shine through and what it will say, the design of the background, or at the very least a color that's to be used. If it's just one color, you can just tell us, make it green. But if there's more complexity associated with it, please let us know, because that will help us quote this. We'll need to know the housing and frame colors because there's some quoting aspects to that. And then obviously whether it's a single or dual-sided custom wording sign. So we can get to yes on a lot of things, but we're going to need that information every time. So if if you ask us if something's possible, please include that information. I started the Chalk Talk today mentioning that I think that there's confusion, and I fully admit that the confusion is probably our doing. When we went through really a year ago now and redid the nomenclature and tried to draw some consistency to everything, we messed up in a couple places, particularly as it relates to custom graphic signs. So we're currently about a week or two away from updating all of our spec sheets to more consistently call out this nomenclature. And what you're going to see used consistently across the custom graphics signs is frame color, face color, background color, and illumination and legend color. Not everything will have a face color, but everything will have a frame color. So on the ELT, that's the thing that sticks up against the ceiling. On an LPDC, that's the back housing of the device. And then on the thin line, that's really the color of everything. The face color really only exists on the LPDC. That's the metallic part of the face that you can see if you're looking directly onto the sign. The background color will be the body of the sign. Again, in the ELT case, that's going to be white, mirrored, or clear. There's a lot more flexibility on both the TL and the LPDC. And then the illumination and legend color is going to be white, blue, red, or green across the line of the custom graphics products. And as I mentioned before, we're going to make a dedicated ELT CG in order to bring this consistency and make it clear what the options are for the product line. With that said, we already have spec sheets up and example drawings on the webpage with all of these things that you've seen today. There may be some of the existing nomenclature up there. That's going to get remedied here in the next week or so. So go to the webpage if you want it right now. Give us a call if you have questions. We're still happy to answer those. And then as a follow-up to this Chalk Talk, we'll send out the traditional video link of me giving the presentation, as well as the PDF of it. So if you guys want to use it in your own sales presentations for your internal people or for external people, you can certainly do that. In this instance, we're not sending out an agency-specific version of the presentation because there would be no difference in the two. There's no pricing information in this presentation. As always, my name is Evan. If you want to talk about custom graphic signs or anything else that we do, we are here for you guys. We certainly appreciate all you do for us. If we can be of any assistance at all on any topic, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Greg, or Matt. Thank you all for joining us here. Happy fall, happy weekend, and enjoy the rest of your day.